Hello, everyone. Welcome to the GLORIO Chat, the best anime podcast on the internet. Congratulations to us for reaching our 200th episode.
Yay!
Our podcast is now officially old enough to drink in Japan.
Isn't that Iro? Isn't that normally your joke?
Yeah, well, you know.
Yeah. I don't think 200 never actually means anything. You rarely hear anybody being like excited about 200. 100
the bicentennial.
Maybe. 500 maybe. I don't know.
I mean, there's not many things
if we make it to 500 episodes.
No way.
Yeah, like there's not many things that turn 200 years old. There's like countries, and that's about where it ends.
I haven't done the math, but I might be dead by episode 500. So yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
I mean, I might be dead by episode 201. So
well, hopefully that won't be the case. But anyway, also I guess we had our daylight savings time.
Yes. Noted mecha correspondent G is out in the field, right? And because his trip was going to coincide with us rolling the clocks back in the United States for daylight saving time, I went and checked what Japan does about daylight savings. Let's see here. From 1948 to 1952, Japan observed daylight saving time between May and September every year. The United States imposed this policy as part of the Allied occupation of Japan. In 1953, 3 weeks before the occupation ended, the Japanese government, which had been granted increased powers, abolished daylight saving time, and the Allied occupation authorities did not interfere. Since then, daylight savings time has never been officially implemented nationwide in Japan.
Daylight saving times is an imperial construct.
Japanese former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe made a significant effort to introduce daylight saving time, but was ultimately unsuccessful.
Wow, it sounds like this guy sucks.
That's why the doohickey was made.
Yes.
But Mr. Abe, if there's more daylight on a day, when are people going to go to bed and fuck?
You're worsening the declining birth rate.
Thanks, Abu Itagaki.
We're going to talk more about Japan's declining birth rate and American oppression in this episode with Sanda and Umamusume, respectively. So there's your teaser. But
wait, has there been like a world war in Umamusume?
Oh yes,
no, just the Americans have arrived.
The international
big dick
forces
Americans
are here. So. Yeah, we'll get.
Did it end with a nuclear-powered horse?
It's about to.
That was in City.
Yeah, one of them was literally crackling with lightning. Anyway, let's. We have some other special things planned for this episode because we have a unique lineup. This for this particular episode.
Indeed, a unique lineup that's only been seen 2 or 3 times before.
Yes. So, well, in the history of 200 episodes or nearly 8 years, that's a lot.
It's a rare occasion, like a shiny Pokemon or a good isekai anime.
Yeah. So anyway, to introduce everybody, I'm Jel. I'm joined by Iro.
I'm still here, and I'm not dead yet.
Still with us, and we're joined by Zig.
Fuck Los Angeles. Fuck everyone from Los Angeles.
Yep.
I mean, what's good, everyone?
I technically did not have a horse in that race in the World Series, but I was supporting...
The World Series is Umamusume now?
Yeah. They can run around those bases real fast.
I was supporting the Blue Jays because they curb stomped the Yankees, and I also hate the Dodgers. So
yeah.
Also I do like how you specifically didn't say fuck Shohei Ohtani, because then the Japanese police would come in and revoke your anime license.
I mean, look, like, it's kind of hard to hate Shohei Ohtani.
Right.
He's just kind of cool.
I hate the Dodgers, but I like Shohei Ohtani. Right?
Yeah. Anyway, we are also joined by Aqua.
Somehow, just when I thought I was out, they dragged me back in.
Yes, but so we've got a lot of things to talk about even before we get into our normal anime, and maybe we can kick things off. Iro, you were watching, I guess, Star Wars Visions,
Season 3,
where
it's back to being all anime all the time.
Wait, was Season 2 not all anime?
No, it was more of a worldwide push for animation studios across the globe.
So it was still all animated, but also like
But like that's where the Aardman short is, right?
That did happen.
The Cartoon Saloon one.
So what you're saying is that season 2 was made by the people who actually made anime, whereas seasons 1 and 3 are made by people who pretend to make anime.
Cool.
Ooh, yeah, I mean, yes, kind of, I guess. Season 3 is okay. They're sort of the gimmick is multiple of the shorts are sequels to shorts from season 1.
Okay.
So there's another one that's the black and white, super Japanified, like CG Ronin business.
I mean, do we need continuity in our short showcase thing?
And that's the thing. The other one, one of the other shorts is a sequel to The Ninth Jedi. The Ninth Jedi already getting a show helmed by Kenji Kamiyama, right? And so the short that's a sequel to The Ninth Jedi this season has nothing to do with The Ninth Jedi. It feels like an episode 4 from a 26 episode show. It's just complete nothing filler, right?
The content must flow.
Yeah. Just a fat load of nothing there. Kinema Citrus had 2 shorts, and I thought they were both pretty good. One of them was a sequel to Village Bride, their short in season 1, which was a lot better because it just was more episodic. Like, it did not actually connect to the story of Village Bride. It was just the same character, right? That was the lady with the rocket heels, if you remember.
I remember so little from season 1 of Star Wars Visions. I only remember the Trigger one.
Yes, well, what about the second Trigger one from season 1? That wasn't very good.
See, that's why I don't remember it.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Say something, Zig.
Here's my pitch for a new Trigger Star Wars short. What if you had a stormtrooper, but he wasn't animated and he was on fire?
Dude, if we got an Amamiya, they would never let him.
Of course not, because that would be good.
The other Kinema Citrus one is very kid oriented, and I thought that was fun.
Sure,
He's
unlike
younger,
the rest of Star Wars, which is made for adults.
There was a sort of Team Rocket Doronjo style villain in that one, which I enjoyed. There's another Trigger one. That's Masako Otsuka again. It's fine. It's not what I come to Trigger for these days, right?
So
Otsuka's from an older generation, you know.
So were there any good ones?
Yes. So the last one was helmed by Shinya Ohira, highly noted animator. If there's a crazy effects shot in a Ghibli movie, it's probably him. He worked on Only Yesterday and then got a handwritten letter from Miyazaki saying, "Come work on Pocoroso." So he did the shot where the engine's blowing the warehouse away.
Yeah. Only Yesterday, famed for its dynamic action shots. So.
I was just about to say, is a handwritten letter from Miyazaki a sign of him endorsing you, or is that just the only way Miyazaki knows how to communicate?
It's true. In Boy and the Heron / How Do You Live, his shot is one of the only ones that did not get done over by Miyazaki. It's just in the movie, right?
Nice.
Miyazaki storyboarded it, intending for this guy to animate that sequence.
So is he a full-time Ghibli guy, or is he
No, he's been all over the
freelance,
place. Yeah. He, here's an effects shot you'll recognize, Zig, in Mobile Suit Gundam Char's Counterattack, when the fin funnels are making the pyramid shield.
Yes.
And then Quest shoots the big laser through the pyramid shield. Yeah. That was him. What else?
So
dude has been around.
Highly noted animator.
Yeah, dude has been around the block.
Steer the ship back to Star Wars here, but
yes, great short. That one's amazing. It's just 10 to 13 minutes of wild impressionistic animation.
What was the name of that one again?
The name of that one is Black. It's the last one.
Okay.
In season 3. If you're only gonna watch one of them, watch that one.
Guess they knew what they had if they put that at the end.
Man, it's good. That dude can draw.
What is the what's the premise of that one? Is it not something that can be explained without giving?
It's better to just watch it because I think
one of those.
It doesn't do it justice for me to say, well, it's about this. It's like so what? Right.
Sounds like a lot of it might be the visual presentation as well, right?
Yes, so. and the understanding in the middle of like what it's portraying, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
that's
Star Wars Visions. Cancel your Disney Plus subscriptions, everybody. Just want to make that clear.
Yeah, just pirate that shit.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, if you still have it, watch that real quick. And then, it's easier that way. All right, cool. So, kind of the other big topic on this episode, because
speaking of franchises dying an ignoble death,
so we had an interesting confluence of events going on this week, where I realized G, of course, is not with us today, and we were likely going to have all of our Tokusatsu fans on the podcast at once, which is a rare occurrence. So I was like, hey, do you guys want to cover like Toku or kid shows or whatever while G's out, and we can just
the two things that we watch.
Yeah. And then I think less than 24 hours after I put that out there, they announced Super Sentai is ending.
Well, it is what it's a news report, not an official announcement from Toei, right?
That was the headline that came out, right?
Yes.
So
it seemed about as official as you're going to get, quite frankly, because I don't think Toei, certainly not while a show is ongoing, Toei is not going to put out a press release that says, "Hi, this is it." So
so I only saw the headlines, and we'll talk about the actual airing shows and stuff too. But I only saw the headlines. I don't actually know what's going on. Do you guys want to explain what we know?
There's not really a huge amount to explain. The report says they're going to end Super Sentai because it is no longer profitable to make. Basically, they've said that the cost of production has risen enough, and the kind of like the merchandising sales have slowed enough that at this point it's simply not worth doing it anymore. Again, this isn't official, but it is reported by like reputable Japanese press sites. So
I think the only official statement from companies at this point has been, we don't comment on future programming.
Yes, which a classic non-answer there. But it's
Toy Sales been flagging for years, right?
Yes, it is a very cold, hard, pragmatic reason to do it. And that's about all we know. If there are other reasons, if there are politics behind the scenes, if there's whatever, then we don't know. But I doubt it was a decision they took lightly.
The last time I remember hearing scuttlebutt about this was after Blue Pat, I think, where
Which is 7 or 8 years ago?
Yeah, now? When they had brought in Sakamoto to do that Super Sentai Strongest Battle big crossover event, which sort of had subtext in the writing of, even if Sentai isn't eternal, Sentai is eternal, right? Of course, that was a long time ago. And as I'm looking at this chart here, if this chart that's been going around is to be believed, toy sales have never risen above Blue Pat since. So... And Blue Pat was already noted for extremely low toy sales.
Yeah, I mean, the general momentum of, and I should be clear here, by the way, like for anybody who is not familiar with the way television Tokusatsu works these days, toy sales are everything. The quality of the show, as far as it comes to commercial potential, is basically irrelevant. What matters is the merchandising sales, and that applies to the good shows as much as the bad shows, quite frankly. But the truth is that for the past decade now, toy sales have been down badly. Like it's
kids don't play with toys after a certain age anymore. Like,
and I mean, like this sort of has coincided with. I mean, Super Sentai was always a franchise which skewed fairly young, right? It is skewing towards your, late single digits, maybe your early tweens, but it has sort of consistently drifted younger and younger in an attempt to find market for those toys and that merchandising there. And over that time, it's just been a sort of slow but steady decline, there is a huge gap between it and Kamen Rider. Kamen Rider is still fairly healthy as far as merchandising sales go, and it does appeal to a slightly older demographic, but Super Sentai has been floundering for a while now. I think anybody who's been fairly plugged into the scene has realised that.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of a big deal, though, because, I mean, it's been running for... what, 50-something years?
I mean,
or whatever.
It's a cultural institution, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, it is... When this show ends, it will have reached 50 years, and there has been a new show every single one of those years except 1978, where Spider-Man was broadcasted. Said Spider-Man honorary Super Sentai show.
Yep.
Not even joking.
Introduce giant robots into the series.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, it's difficult because... yes, it is a cultural institution. I don't think it is perhaps quite as much a cultural institution as we in the West regard it as, because of course, our primary exposure to Japanese-style tokusatsu shows is Power Rangers, and therefore, to us, Super Sentai is the one.
It's like the first Japanese media I'd ever seen, right, at the time.
Even though,
maybe
obviously...
it's like, not... I mean, clearly it's not as... impactful now. That's why they would be shutting it down. But for something to last that long, it's got to be, it's something that's going to be, you knew was going to be on every Saturday morning or whatever, right? Like,
And I mean, like, unlike Kamen Rider, there has never been a hiatus in production of Super Sentai.
Right.
There has been a new show every year since 1978. As regular as clockwork. It has never been off the air.
How many, if it's TV, I know it's not like a consecutive series per se, but like, that's a pretty remarkable accomplishment, right?
Yes, absolutely. 50 years is a hell of a long time.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I mean, it seems pretty cut and dry, and it's kind of sad that, like...
Right. The question...
Are they just going to pull the plug with no, send-off or anything? Like... I don't know.
Unclear, right? Also, well, what goes in the time slot in superhero time? Sort of another question. And there was a report a couple months ago when they were talking. Some outlet was talking to Toei about Kamen Rider Zeztz and that being pushed internationally. And there was word that Toei's working on like a new hero, which they haven't done in many, many years now. That they want to push internationally, and I'm wondering if like that's going to slot in, right?
It's worth pointing out that Super Sentai's international reach is limited to a certain extent by the deal that they signed with Saban way back in the early 90s regarding Power Rangers, which... the Power Rangers franchise is itself in something of a deadlock at the moment. There hasn't been a new installment in a few years. Hasbro keeps trying to get films and reboots off the ground there. That was a not insignificant revenue stream as far as the whole Super Sentai package went. And there has been some speculation going around that Toei wants to begin a new Tokusatsu franchise that they have greater control over, that can be distributed internationally in the same way as they are currently trying to get Kamen Rider to go, right? And, that's one of the possible other reasons for this cancellation there. But it's difficult to say, right? I mean, all of this stuff is obscure at the best of times, and then it's all behind like the Japanese business code of secrecy and all that kind of stuff. So we may never know, but there's some logic behind it.
Yeah.
Right? It seems plausible.
We'll definitely know more by the new year, I think. Like, once we get into January, they need to release something because, because it's due to end in February, I think. February or March. Yeah.
Normally around this time of year, we would be mining for trademarks for a new show. There would be toy prototypes out there and design prototypes and stuff like that. The pipeline has always been extremely leaky as regards that stuff, so people generally know a lot about a show before it airs, and if there is nothing coming down the pipe in that regard, then truly they are going to put the franchise on ice for a while at least.
Yeah. Oh, I guess it's possible they just fill it in with another Toku show or
time to bring back Metal Hero, baby.
But yeah, I'm sure that'll be just as popular, right?
I think whether they do another Tokusatsu show is not as much of a slam dunk as you would think, because Tokusatsu shows are expensive relative to doing anime, for example, which, famous for its rock bottom production cost. And I think a big issue with the demise of Super Sentai over the past, let's say, 10 to 15 years is increased availability of Western media that is much, much higher level production value. It is so much easier to get hold of a Hollywood show that costs, $30 or $40 million these days, as opposed to, the golden age of Super Sentai in the late 80s to the early 90s, where it was kind of the culturally dominant special effects show for children. So it's that I think is also a factor. Children just have so much more stuff to do these days.
Yeah, I think that's. Yeah, I don't think a lot of kids are.
They're busy racing their horses on the
They're
phones.
not. That's for grown adults. Kids are not like, how many kids are sitting down watching TV and buying toys these days, right? Like it's everyone's on their iPad or whatever. I don't know if the kids are playing Roblox in Japan, but
Mario Kart. I don't know.
That's what's
Super Sentai has always been an extremely on the cheap production. That goes without saying. But the budget squeezes have been noticeable in recent years. That there have been less elaborate monsters. There has been increased stock footage and reuse of certain elements.
You've got actors occasionally talking about how they're not getting paid enough and have to take extra jobs and stuff.
Yeah, right? That stuff was a problem long before the show was kind of like being squeezed budgetarily. But the point was, this was already an incredibly lean production, and they seem to have cut it to the bone as far as they possibly could. And I think that if you're not watching as the adult audience is for sort of the ironic camp of the whole situation, I'm not sure how much appeal there is to children in the classic Sentai style played straight these days. I do not interact with Japanese children, obviously. I have no idea how true that is, but as a sort of gut intuition, I'm not sure how much the classic style appeals to the youth of today.
Right. It is not a problem just showed up this week. It's been building over time, right?
Yeah. Like I said, the past 10 years have been sort of a slow, not a downward spiral, but like the productions have been getting more gimmicky to try and sell extra toys. The budgets have been cut harder. The viewership has decreased. The merchandising has sort of slowly decreased as well. So it is a long gestating problem, but maybe this was inevitable at some point.
Yeah. Well, does that mean then that our currently airing Super Sentai is actually the last Super Sentai that we will ever have? And,
no, of course not. Like
that currently airing show is how do you say this?
Number one Sentai Gozyuger.
Okay, number one Sentai Gozyuger is the currently airing series. If we did talk about this, it's been so long that I don't remember what the hook on this one was. But how is that? How has that been since it's only got a couple months left anyway?
We're in the 30s in episodes now, and this is a 50 episode show. The gimmick is supposedly that it is a battle royale to be number one between between all like the past Red Rangers and old teams are showing up with new characters behind them and stuff like that. They haven't really been sticking to that premise particularly closely recently.
No, it's mostly just like an excuse to like guard out a monster, and then the monster can be like, I am the number one at cards in the entire universe. And then he goes around like challenging people to card games, and when they lose, they get turned into a card, and then the Sentai have to defeat him in cards, and then also in a fist fight, of course.
Also, it's very funny because it's a children's show; they can only play Old Maid.
Yes. Yeah, I seem to remember this one maybe not so great. This current series, or it's just fine.
I would describe it as aggressively average so far.
Yeah,
at least
it has its occasional bouts of like camp fun silliness, but the overall plot, if we can even call it that, is a little bit muddled. Like they try to give the different heroes in the team elaborate tragic backstories that like intersect with one another, but it mostly sounds like a sort of rethread of a tried and true formula that we have seen many times before, and that doesn't exactly gel well together in many ways. Like, for example, you would have like, oh, the Black Ranger's sister has been kidnapped, and it turns out that the guy who did it is like an old friend of the Blue Ranger, and the Blue Ranger feels guilty about this old friend's descent into evil because this old friend like lost the use of his hands because he took a knife for the Blue Ranger or something, and it's all very like tangentially brought together in a way that doesn't really have much of a thematic resonance or rhyme or reason in any way.
I think that's the thing. Like, when you put it on paper like that sounds like quite an interesting interlocking of stories, but all of these stories are so shallow and one note that it kind of just feels like they're treading water with them, which, you know, again, Super Sentai, not necessarily a show ever known for super deep characterization, but I don't have a huge amount of affection for the individual Rangers here. You know, they're fine. You know, none of them are annoying or shitty, but they're just sort of there. You know, as in most Sentai shows, the villains are actually the people who we enjoy seeing.
Yes.
The thing is, like, it's very clear that Gozyuger is well, it's a show of conflicted identities, right? It is a show that, on one hand, wants to be an anniversary series, but it cannot really be a traditional anniversary series, as one would expect, with, you know, old Rangers returning and veterans showing up again, because they already did that in the show called Gokaiger, right? Which is considered to be like a very popular holy grail in the fandom. So they're trying to do something different, where like the powers of the old Rangers have now been given to new characters, and our heroes have to like fight or work together with these new characters in order to acquire the powers of the old Rangers. But it feels like kind of a hollow facsimile.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is basically how Kamen Rider Decade did it, right?
Well, Kamen Rider Decade also had Kamen Rider Decade also had the thing where he like literally visited the worlds of the other riders, but they are a bit different than how they were in their original series.
I mean, also, I would say that the difference with Kamen Rider Decade was that gimmick was the central conceit of the series, right? And therefore, it made sense. It made sense to have alternate world versions of the characters, because part of the surprise was, how did the story play out differently in this world? One of the major problems with the anniversary elements in Gozyuger, and this was kind of a problem with Zenkaiger, the previous anniversary show as well, is that they just kind of feel tacked on. There's not really, they're not really integrated into the plot in a meaningful way, whereas stuff like, you know, again, Gokaiger is the gold standard for this stuff, but even some of the earlier crossover stuff, the nostalgic elements were integrated into the story in a much more interesting and elegant way that made them feel more natural for a given value of natural.
And I think that also sort of like it sort of shows how much has changed in the Sentai franchise in these years. Because in Gokaiger, you could really sense like a reverence not simply for the characters of the Rangers, but also of the people behind the masks. You know, they would refer to the story of like what was the gimmick of that particular season. You know, when the Deca Rangers show up in Gokaiger, it is in their capacity as the international or like intergalactic police force. Like, you get old actors back, whereas in Gozyuger, when an old team shows up, it's only like the suit of the Red Ranger of that team that shows up, and it shows off like the brand, but not really the world that was created around that brand.
It's just like, I guess Magi Ranger's boxing gloves.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I guess so.
I would say that the best episodes of Gozyuger have been the ones that have actually delved a little deeper into the shows that they are supposedly drawing from. I'm thinking of the Gal Ranger episode. I'm thinking of the Guy Ranger episode, which we just saw. You know, I'm not necessarily saying that those shows went like super deep into the continuity, but they at least established the previous teams as something a little bit more than an outfit. You know, you got a fun in-joke, you got a goofy reference, you got stuff like that there.
I think just in general that is just emblematic of a bigger problem with Gozyuger, which is that everything that is supposed to make it unique is sort of tacked on. Like, it goes from the standard framework of a modern Sentai show, which is every episode there's a goofy monster, the monster does goofy shenanigans, and they fight the monster. And that is a solid foundation that Gozyuger like plays on pretty well. Like, it plays the hits pretty decently, but everything that it has to bring to the party from itself, namely like a unique plot, a unique hook, unique characters, like a reason or a justification for its status as an anniversary series, I think that is where it stumbles, right?
Yeah.
The best episodes of Gozyuger almost could have been episodes of Boom Boomger or Kira Major or like another one of the less ambitious Sentai shows.
Because they're just episodes where like everyone's doing a goofy thing and we have a fun fight at the end, right? Like,
exactly.
I do think that some of the best episodes are the ones where they kind of run with the inherent silliness of the number one concept, like where they're fighting the monster that is number one at manners, for example.
Yes, or number one in like reminiscing about the good old days, and he turns the world back into the Showa era, so it all goes into like 4:3 bad video quality, and all the humans are suffering because they don't know how old things work and they miss their smartphone and things like that.
Yeah, that's like a fun play on the
formula. But you see, the modern era is good because now you can just buy Kaiketsu Zubat merch.
Yes.
You do not need to catch it on TV. You can just buy it on Blu-ray. But yeah, like, again, it is enjoyable to watch. I think that the cast do some decent mugging, but it feels generic, which is not great for any show, but especially bad for an anniversary show, which is meant to be a celebration of the franchise, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
exactly. But I mean, that's the thing, right? It very much gives the impression of like, you know, they're trying to clean the house while the tap is still running. Like, they're making do with what they have.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, like this, I just want to say, like, this will not be the end of Super Sentai. You know, there will be direct-to-video stuff. There'll be some stuff for the Toei Tokusatsu fan club. They're like exclusive streaming service, and I'm sure in 10 years or something there will be a reboot or something like that. But it still, kind of as the end of the original lineage, it is a sobering moment. Really.
Yeah, it feels very much like a sort of thing that, despite all economic realities, should not be, because as much as we like to complain about Super Sentai, it is a truly unique franchise, even within Tokusatsu, and it is something that is very clearly made by people who, despite the circumstances, despite their corporate overlords, basically giving them only one job, which is sell toy. They still go above and beyond to come up with creative action choreography, to have fun little goofs in there, to make interesting looking monster suits, to pull off weird effects in camera with the means that they have been giving. It's very clearly there is a team behind this that is dedicated to their craft. And I honestly find it a shame that these people would, be out of a job, because they seem to be doing what they do with so much joy.
They've gotten really good at it,
Mm-hmm.
Before we wrap up, I must give a shout out to the episode where the episode of Gozyuger that is set on the Toei lot, where they are going behind the scenes at Toei, and the manager at Toei is just Tomokazu Seki dressed as Domon Kashu. And like, it is a very, very thinly veiled spoof of actual Toei. That one was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Please tell your friends about this show.
Yes,
yeah. I mean, even during the writer hiatus, they still released movies and such. So I expect we'll go to something along those lines.
But there's a joy and a charm in the weekly meetup with your friends, Super Sentai, that I'm afraid we'll never, or at least will be a very long time before we get that back.
Any way you look at it, I mean, it's even if it comes back, the streak is broken, right? Like, it's I'm with you, Zig. I'm sure, like, in 10 years, the nostalgia brings everything back one way or the other, right?
Yep.
Like, something's going to kick in, and like,
it's like an astronaut; it always comes back, but it's never the same.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, Kamen Rider was able to weather a decade-long hiatus and return,
right.
but the year 2000 and the year 2030 or whatever time would be when Super Sentai would return. Very different landscape.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you can
worry.
make a show like Kamen Rider Cougar that resurrected the franchise.
In 2035, you can just ask Grok to make a 52 Tokusatsu series.
We need better jokes than that. We're above that kind of thing.
Okay. Let's move on. Hey, Kamen Rider's still going, right?
Yeah.
We have Kamen Rider Zeztz, which I think you guys we talked about the first episode, and that was pretty promising. How's that been going?
Mostly pretty good.
I think Zeztz is pretty good. I enjoy watching it.
I think that they have been doing interesting and clever things with the sort of dream world premise stuff. Mm-hmm. They've been having some fun with sort of like the dual. Well, we are solving a crime in the real world, but also in the dream world, and how one can affect the other stuff. And that generally the tone has been they've kept the tone appropriate between like goofy, mysterious, suave, and sort of dumb.
I get the feeling Zeztz was sort of deliberately designed to, while still be authentically Kamen Rider, file off some of the excesses of the later shows, as in it has a premise that is outlandish, but it could still be explained to a less than receptive audience, perhaps. It still has.
I mean, we talked after the first episode about how this is very clearly like a show and a premise that seems to have been targeted towards the wider Western audience. Maybe not exclusively, but I doubt it's coincidence.
Right. The thing is, like, this guy like is a lucid dreamer, and he dreams about being a secret agent every night, and then his dreams become a reality. That is a way easier thing to explain to someone than, it's the near future, and people live in a dystopia, and there are dance teams, and there are also Pokemon fighters, but the Pokemon are real, and they make fruit that turn you into a samurai, and then it becomes like the Warring States period, but it's about like the conflicting ideals of these different dance crews. And come back, it's really good, I swear.
Right. Something like Gaim in particular, like, relied upon the slow burn, and we have 50 episodes. Zeztz
Yeah.
type thing. Whereas
That's the thing I was going to say. Like, Zeztz is simple at the moment, but that's because there have only been, you know, 8 episodes.
Right, but what I was saying is, like, the premise is immediately just understandable from the start, whereas the premise of Gaim at the start had nothing to do with almost nothing to do with what Gaim like became, right?
Okay, and also was that was also sell, right?
That was also clearly a deliberate creative choice.
Well, yes.
Like, that was a bait and switch. So, but I get what you're saying. You know, I think that's why I think so far they have done a good job of developing the premise and like. Because it's still a fairly high concept premise at some point, but
it is high concept within the confines of like acceptability, right? If we consider like what is considered cheesy and what is considered cool as a sort of Overton window, Zeztz is way more clearly within that than, for example, Gav, which is like, oh, he is a candy monster that, like, I mean, it's an easier sell, right?
Yeah.
Well, the show seems more aligned between story, kind of visual aesthetic, and tone than Gav. Like, we've spoken in the past. Like, Gav was very good, but tonally it was a mess. You know, it was all over the shop in terms of the difference between the things that were happening and the aesthetics that those things were happening in. Zeztz does feel more focused in that sense. I am glad, though, that they are not, that the dream premise so far has been used for interesting things, and I appreciate that they, again, so far seem to be embracing the high concept that they are they're going around.
It's
and
like what the current like plot twist that they introduced is what the female lead shows up in all the dreams because she was critically wounded while asleep and is in a coma in the real world, right?
I mean, like, the interesting thing is, like, that's a part of the premise, right? He is a lucid dreamer, so he can decide what he dreams about. So he dreams about being a cool spy, and also the nation's most popular idol is kind of girlfriend who always shows up in all of his dreams. But then it turns out that, like, she is sentient. Like, she is not a figment of his imagination. She is actually there, as if she is also dreaming and in the dream. And now in the recent episodes, they have revealed that she is always there because she is in a coma in the real world, as Iro explained. And that is why she's sort of like trapped in the dream world and is sort of hopping from one person's dream to the next in a way to, or in a attempt to find her way out.
Yeah, and I think so far they have done a good job of spooling out the plot they have at an appropriate pace, right? It doesn't feel like they front-loaded us with exposition. It doesn't feel like that they've sort of withheld fairly obvious plot twists from us, right? Like, I mean, I guessed the she is in a coma twist a couple of episodes before it happened, which is fine because, again, you know, it's a show for 10-year-olds. It doesn't have to be, like, super complex and stuff. But at the same time, you know, it's predictable because it is an obvious and good story choice, right? You know, they are being internally consistent and telling a story that feels like it is deliberately paced. And I think when Tokusatsu is written poorly, especially in the 50-episode format, it can sometimes feel like we're treading water for huge amounts of time before a bunch of stuff happens at once, and then we're treading water for a huge amount of time here. Here it feels like we are getting decent little chunks of plot every episode or so. You know, we're getting a little bit, you know, we're gradually seeing more of our villain, we're gradually increasing our understanding of the way the dream world works and the way the bad guys are going about their various crimes.
I think a sort of unsung advantage that Zeztz also has is its return to the 2-episode format of some of the most successful writer shows. I wanted to say recent writer shows, but they're not that recent anymore. Because, like, this is very much a sort of whodunit, right? Where there is a new mystery every 2 episodes. Every 2 episodes together form a story with a twist. Yeah.
Right.
And that is just a formula that works for this kind of show. Like, many recent Kamen Rider shows have had the problem of being a sort of meandering Ouroboros of plot elements weaving in and out of one another. Whereas this is very clearly, you have your A plot, you have your B plot, and you have the arc plot. And, we resolve the A and the B plot within the span of 2 episodes, and we advance the arc plot a little bit every time. And this is something that just sort of works with the formulaic nature of Toku, because Toku sort of follows the pattern of, especially Kamen Rider sort of follows the patterns of, okay, so we have our main rider. He has like 4 forms that he needs to unlock. Then he gets a super form. Then another rider shows up, and then he gets his ultimate form. And that is sort of the pattern that they have to follow. And it just makes a lot of sense when you match or mirror that in the episode structures. So like when your big dramatic plot reveals need to happen, because that's when he unlocks a new super form or a new power-up in some form. And the 2-episode format really works in making that feel somewhat more natural than the more loosey-goosey approach they've been taking up like for the past couple of years. Like this is something that, for example, a show like Revise or Geats really suffered from, that it seemed like the show was always kind of escalating to the point where it wasn't even recognizable as what it was originally anymore. And I think that Zeztz is doing a better job, especially because it really plays to the episodic format by doing very different types of episodes. Like up until now, what have we had? We've had like the opening 3-parter, then we've had like a 2-parter, which is like he has to
first I'm a spy, then now I'm like officiating a wedding.
Yeah, he has to like
now I have to escape prison,
escape why a woman, or as like find out why a woman is having nightmares about her upcoming wedding, and then the next one is indeed a prison escape, and now he's like, oh, I'm like dreaming about being the assistant to a chef, and people are being poisoned at his restaurant. So it really allows for these sort of high concept episodic stories that still advance the plot in interesting ways.
I will say also, and this is weird because the gimmick of this show is there are literal gacha machines that they turn and get new powers of, but this show feels less merchandise driven than the last couple. Now, that's not to say it isn't merchandise driven. Like, of course it is. It is hugely merchandise driven. But I don't know. Something about the way that most of his alternate forms are just the base suit but different coloured.
Yeah. I think that's another example of them sort of like filing off the excesses, right?
Yeah.
Like the more recent writers, they've had like a billion different forms that all look over-designed and have sort of nebulously defined powers that only matter to the episode they show up in. Whereas in this one, it's clear, you have your base form that punches, the blue form shoots, the green form heals, and the purple form, which hasn't shown up yet, but will do something else that is like simple and easy to grok, right?
Yeah, and like he's had variations, there's the mechanical form, which has extremely vaguely defined powers, including the ability to create portals. But I think it's just something about the aesthetic being a little bit less in your face, because again, he still has a lot of forms, he still has way more forms than the traditional 4 or so. But
but they all fit within like a shared vibe. Like all the blue forms sort of fit the same idea, like they're like it's all like, oh, they're all different builds of the same class or something like that.
I don't think we've seen enough to say that for sure yet, but I just feel that the presentation is a little bit less garish than before. And granted, it would not be difficult to be less garish than Gav, which was extremely on the nose there. But it does feel a little bit like the style of the show has changed to match the sort of super slick spy aesthetic that they're going for. Again, this is all relative. It's still a show about a dude in a gaudy costume kicking monsters till they explode. Yeah. But
I do. We're only 7-8 episodes in. I feel like the fight choreography has gotten worse.
Yes.
Than it was in Gav.
I mean, the thing is, Gav just had very good fight choreography. Yeah. I think it's Gav that was the outlier and not this. But yes.
You're right.
I think Gav also most notably had a stunt team and like a stunt coordinator who were very willing to do sometimes weird, unusual things that perhaps did not look the greatest thing in the world, but sometimes they did, and
right. I think the premise of Zeztz like allows for more of that stuff, right? Like,
I also think
I know it's a lot harder to like film, but it's like what the first couple episodes had to like we're fighting or he's running away and every door leads to like a completely different location, right?
I think we might start seeing more of that stuff once we get further into the show and the CG budget starts running out.
I hope so.
Yeah. But yeah, like again, it's difficult to say because we are early on, but I think, I have been enjoying Zeztz quite a bit, and I've been surprised by how different it feels compared to the last couple of Kamen Rider shows. And in my eyes, that's a good thing, at least. I think that I am broadly encouraged by a lot of the stuff I've seen so far.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess at least Kamen Rider's still here, and it's pretty good. So
yeah.
That is a plus, and we'll periodically check back in with that as well, of course. So, all right. Well, I decided we're going to get into our anime now, and I decided to move this up since we were talking about kid shows, because we do have a new Digimon, as we've talked about, airing this season. Digimon BEATBREAK. I know, Ira, you've had some chance to talk about it.
Yeah,
and I'm assuming you're all watching it.
Yes.
How's that been going?
So speaking of things that are surprisingly good,
yeah, this is just like a charming show that is not afraid to be relatively complex, even though it is like a monster of the week sort of show about, you have to be a good friend and you have to share the things you have. It is a show that is not like that, does not look down on its audience, I think.
Yeah, like to elaborate, I think a huge problem with the past couple of Digimon shows is that they have intermittently been charming and funny and goofy and occasionally even well animated, but they have been profoundly unambitious. They have basically always been very meat and potatoes, monster of the week stuff with barely any overplot, any world building, any sort of interest in anything beyond 20 minutes of, fighting dudes and solving mysteries and stuff like that. Even when they've been good, they have felt basic. And this show, and again, we are only 5 episodes in. This is a 50-episode show, so same disclaimer as with Kamen Rider. But so far, this show has shown actual interest in, building characters and building a compelling setting, and sort of hints that actually, yes, we are thinking more than 30 minutes ahead in the story, and that's been refreshing.
In like a Kamen Rider, for instance, it would be unthinkable to go 5 episodes without a new power up.
Oh, yeah.
And
that's the thing, right? It is a show that takes its time. It is a show that is willing to abandon some of the formulaic aspects of a show like this. Our hero, for example, is not a gung-ho sort of act first, think later kind of guy. He's kind of like a gloomy, antisocial jackass, and like he is getting better, but he's not quite there yet. Like he still has his moments of just being rude, of just being dismissive of others, even though they have good intentions. He continues to be kind of mean to his Digimon, who just wants to be friends with him.
Well, and also steal his life force.
Yes, but the life force is just so tasty, Yeah. Won't you give Gekkomon his tasty treat? But the thing is, like, this is a show that is willing to play the long game, right? To not cash in every chip it has immediately because it is afraid that the audience won't have the attention span to follow a plot arc that lasts longer than like 3 episodes.
How You guys are talking like we're 10 episodes in, aren't we? Only like 4 or 5 episodes.
We're 5 episodes in.
Right. I guess the thing about this is like because these shows are so formulaic, it's like you are analyzing them through this like extremely codified framework, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing, you know, that's what I was trying to get across in sort of the disclaimer I offered, is that this is, you know, the show is good, but I don't wish to give the impression that it is breaking new ground, or
right.
It is good in the way that a good story, that a good animated show is. It's just that those elements have been so severely lacking from the past couple of Digimon shows. Like even Ghost Game, which I think was generally enjoyable on, you know, in the final balance, so to speak. Ghost Game did not really have a story, despite running for 60 plus episodes. There, it was just sort of something happened each week. Sometimes it was good, sometimes it wasn't good, but there was not a thread that kept you compelled and hooked until the end. And again, you know, 5 episode disclaimer, but there at least seems to be in BEATBREAK the idea that there is a story which needs to be played out over the long term, right? Like that there is a compelling setting, there is some cool world building that they have done so far. You know, there seems to be interest in establishing this as an environment, as a setting for a long-term story, which is just not something we have seen in recent shows.
Yeah, it's like what did I say earlier when we were watching the episode? It's almost weird to have a show where some people know about Digimon. It's not just a secret to everybody, right?
Yeah, because that has become such a cliche.
Right. It's just like, yeah, there's a government agent, like, most people don't know about it, but there's a government agency dedicated to dealing with it. There are other organizations that work with them. They're just small communities that know about Digimon, right? Which helps the world feel bigger and more interesting, right?
And, you know, it also has some of the traditional series strengths. You know, there are a lot of little guys who are pretty cute and kind of funny. There is the show, so far at least, has alternated between looking pretty solid and occasionally fantastic, as Toei ropes in the like small army of independent animators they contract to do like 2 or 3 bits of Sakuga an episode. The bad guy designs are as incredibly extra as ever. That like the end of the episode we just saw has like a fucking Yakuza themed. Is he like a big cat crossed with a Yakuza with like a triple barreled Tommy gun?
Yeah.
Show up. So there is still like a perverse pleasure in the whole what the fuck is that thing going on, you know? So it again, I do not wish to give the impression that this show is like some sort of masterpiece of long form storytelling, but it is fun and it is bright and colourful and goofy and very enjoyable so far, at least.
Yeah.
Yep.
Was there anything specifically that cool that happened in the last 2 episodes?
What the current episode arc is on a journey to find meat buns. He stumbles upon a lone shopping arcade in the middle of the wastes because they're the last holdouts for the Yakuza trying to build their casino resort. You know, and this little Wild West town full of nice old folks is being protected by Pandamon.
He's a big panda.
Who's a big panda wearing a jacket. Who's you know, helped by the local. Definitely not Yakuza. They're just old people in a traditional house who drink together and
who are led by a man.
Show brotherly respect.
That they call Oyabun.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. And they're attacked by Yakuza with a Digimon that's basically the power loader from Aliens. And, you know, it's just fun, you know. And like I said, they have built a compelling world that has kind of like some dark undertones, which I hope they are going to explore. You know, I mean, like there's some weirdly topical stuff about like AI dependency and digital identification and all sorts of stuff, and like they could go nowhere with it, but I think there is some potential to tell some even subversive storytelling, honestly.
They totally killed that baby.
Yes, they did kill that baby. It was a baby Digimon, but, still.
Still, yeah. Okay. All right, well, I'm glad you guys are getting a decent Digimon for a change here, because the last couple ones have been kind of rough, right? So
some real. Oh, I'm glad you're having fun, dear. Energy there.
that's my theme for this podcast.
Well, I don't get what you kids are into, but I'm glad you're having fun.
It keeps them out of trouble for a few hours every Saturday morning.
You kids, and your Digimons. I don't know what's going on, but I'm glad you're having fun.
You olds and your horses.
Yeah.
I'm the old man here watching a horse racing, right? Yes.
Turn off your damn Power Rangers. It's time for the horse racing. It's time for the Tokyo Cup.
I gotta watch my races. All right. Let's move along to talk about our other anime, which is not a whole lot at the moment. I don't know what we're going to talk about next time, folks, but that's next episode's problem. Let's talk about Spy Family Season 3. For the record, I did catch up. No, I didn't catch up. I watched a few more episodes. I watched the Lloyd flashback part, so up through episode 3. And then I think Kenjiro Suda killed my motivation to continue at the time. So
not uncommon.
Playing the most Kenjiro Suda-ass character that you could possibly cast him as. So I have not watched
it in quite like Kenjiro Suda.
I will. Hey man, he's getting paid. Hardest working man in show business. But so I have not seen the 2 latest episodes, but you guys are caught up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen the latest episode, but I've read the manga and I know what the episode's about. So
yeah,
is it Hot Moms? Because I saw the title.
It is Hot Moms. It is also about one of the most European things you can do, namely you're joining like a women's association.
Okay,
which I find, I just find this very charming because it is such a like. I don't know if it is a thing in America or the state in America or in the UK, but it is very much a cornerstone of middle class continental European life to be like.
It is such a thing over here. We have an actual formal association called the Women's Institute that is that is just like middle class tea parties and like bake sales and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if we have something that's exactly the equivalent of that, but there
not
are
like
other
a codified. There
are other types of like community organizations and stuff that
right.
Stuff like
codified as that, but
United Daughters of the Confederacy or something like that.
I was going to say, I think in the States it would be more like with your church, like if you're part of a congregation or something.
PTA, like,
or through schools or something like that.
Something like that. But
whereas in Europe, like that thing is also like very like pillarized, like, and you even see that here in Spy Family with your like specifically joining the woman's wing of the National Unity Party.
It sort of drifts into like a weird, is this like a Nazi thing at some point? Like,
oh no, is you're a fascist?
She just wants friends.
Oh well, you know,
nothing more fascist than wanting friends.
Now is this podcast now about the pipeline?
the like liberal wine mom to fascist pipeline.
Yeah.
At some point, Yor is going to rename herself Karen.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving away from like Yor's Hot Wives Club, I'm going to say like over these past couple of episodes, I have not really enjoyed the show very much, to be honest. I think it's because a lot of these episodes are Lloyd's dark flashback to, like, you know, the horrors of war and like how he became bitter and disillusioned. And I'm like, this is a show where like Anya makes jokes about poop. Like, you do not have the gravitas to tell a dark story about war, you know, and it just all sort of came off as a little bit try hard to me.
Well, we talked about those episodes last time, and I hadn't seen them at the time, so I didn't have a comment on that at the moment. But I think what everybody else was saying, and I would agree, is I'm okay with it just being the 2 episodes, and then we move on to other things, because I mean, it was fine. I didn't think it was like. I think I agree, Zig, from the point of view. It's like that's probably not the kind of thing I'm wanting out of Spy Family, but I think they did okay in the context of Spy Family, if that makes sense, without taking us in a completely different direction. But
it wasn't bad. It's just not
what I'm here for.
The thing, exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's like fine. An interesting discourse in the Spy Family fandom, where it seems to be like a thing that the average fan of the show really appreciates, how this show can combine goofy comedy and wacky family moments with a dark core of serious spy fiction. And it has even led to this sort of narrative that, based on the contents of his earlier works, the original creator of Spy Family desperately wants to make Spy Family a dark story, but is constantly being reeled in by Shonen Jump editorial,
I think
wants
did,
to make it a funny joke comedy.
I mean, this is where the whole manga pre-Spy Family for the manga theater way back when. I
mean, this is also where the whole Endo hates Anya comes from, right? Because he said in an interview that Anya was a relatively late addition to his concept for the show, and that he didn't expect her to become this popular. But I think that is a very overblown sort of theory. I think Spy Family is simply a show, or a manga in this case, that does arcs relatively well, in that, I mean, it will do something, it will try something, it will get that over with, and if it's something you don't like, then, well, it's the next arc you'll get will be something else, and that is sort of what permits it to occasionally do something that doesn't really fit within the wheelhouse of its usual combination of feel-good family moments and goofy comedy. But I also think, and this is, I think, where I have to disagree with Zig, is that it does pull it off. For some reason, I did not find Lloyd's flashback to be grating. I wouldn't say it is this deep subversion of what the show usually is, but I also didn't mind going there and not having the central dynamic and not having the jokes that we're used to from this show. It just mostly came across to me as this is a little change of pace, and it's 2 episodes, and now we'll know why Lord Forger, aka Twilight, wants to create a world where children never have to cry anymore. And it is not exactly original, but it wasn't a waste of my time, right?
What was his really ridiculous fake name that he had?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Shoot.
Spoopy or something?
Yeah, it was Spoopy or something.
Spoopy, yeah.
But
or Spoofy, I think, yeah.
Yeah, Spoofy, right? Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So like I said, I think it was an efficient way to get his backstory across, and had it gone on another episode or 2, I probably would have been a lot more
roll into Spoofy. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I think what also maybe, without really to speak for Zig, but why this sort of still echoes in your mind while we've had 2 episodes since, is that the episodes that, or at least episode 4, is a very low-key-ish episode. It is back to your regularly scheduled Spy Family, but it is not particularly energetic. It's too relatively laid back, character driven, not really laugh out loud, outrageous, chaotic, funny, but more gentle vibe based vignettes that also don't really push the envelope in any particular way.
I remember Anya and the tea snacks, but what was the other one?
The one where where they go behind the scenes of the spy agency, right, with the opera singer.
Oh yeah. No, both of those segments were extremely mid. Honestly,
yeah, they're just kind of like, yep. I mean, we're just hanging out with these characters.
There's not really an amazing joke or like a really fun hijink in either of those. Like the joke in the first one is just like the master is so shocked by Anya's bluntness, and they just sort of ride that joke until it stops. And the second one is just like, wow, this rookie spy sure is a fucking idiot.
And it's like, it's very obvious, like, this is not the episode where they dedicated too many resources to, because it looks kind of plain. It doesn't really have any fun directorial flourishes or artistic escapades. It is just sort of there, like, oh no, these were two like filler chapters between two bigger arcs that we also have to adapt, I guess.
Yeah, I think that is an issue. You know, I think that aside from the opening episode, this has been a pretty low key, not amazing run of segments, and that's not a great way to start a season, in my opinion. You know, there's definitely been some fun goofs, you know, and that first episode was good, but
I will say the latest episode with Yorio hanging out with Damien's mom is sort of what is getting the more high octane stuff back into gear, right?
Yeah,
especially near the end when we get back to Anya trying to, you know, save her position in this family by making her part of the plan, by escalating her part of the plan.
And I think your focused segments are rare enough that it's always fun when they happen as well. You know, I
focused segments that do not include her shitty brother.
God, right. I'm glad he hasn't shown up yet. But yes, you know, this latest episode was a significant improvement over the last couple, I would say.
It is just, they have had the quote-unquote misfortune of starting off the season on a relatively low-key streak of chapters. Like, there is no, like, big, fun, goofy adventure. Like, I think season 2 starts with the arc where they get Bond.
I do not recall.
Yeah, I don't recall either. But it's like, they don't have this... Years. They don't have that big like money arc that they can sell as like, whoa, this is the reason why you need to watch Spy Family season 3. Like, it's just, it's more Spy Family, I guess. Like, even the OP sort of reflects this, right? It is sort of like very lackadaisical and laid back and low key, and it's sort of like, it's kind of about Lloyd's flashback, but also not really, and it like shows.
I keep referring to it as a missing Promised Neverland OP.
Yeah.
All right. The first episode of season 2 was Yora and Lloyd have to go on a date, but she's been shot, and so sitting down hurts real bad.
Yeah, she's been shot in the butt. Yeah, that was a good episode.
Yeah,
and, like, it's a survivor like keeps trying to poison her or whatever. Like, it doesn't work.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I would say there's still a lot of fun stuff to come. Like,
yeah, and at the end of the day, we're in season 3 at this point. If there's a couple of up and down episodes, it's, in the grand scheme of things, not that big of a deal.
I'm not writing the show off. I'm just saying, you know, to me at least, it was a pretty sluggish beginning.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't even watched the whole thing yet, so I can't really argue, I suppose. All right. Well, let's move along to, I guess, GLORIO surprise hit favorite here, Gnosia. We're giving it the hard G, I guess. That's the
apparently the way they say it in the show is Gnosia. So
yeah, and
what if we turn the video game into a theater play into an anime?
Iro, it seems like you've roped more people in on this with you.
I guess.
How's it been going?
It's been all right. There's a lot. It's very talky. You're right.
Yes, it is very talky. I think I was initially a little bit skeptical because
We did make you watch episode 2 without having seen episode 1.
Yes, that is the thing. Well, that's part of the reason, but the reason was also like I got the idea of that the show was sort of constrained by the fact that it is based on this loop-based game, right? So in the game, like you repeat the same events over and over again, but there are differences, and your job is sort of to figure out how these differences factor in the overarching plot. But when you turn that into a show, you get these not necessarily repetitive segments, but I was very much afraid during episodes 2 and 3 that we would not really get the chance to get to know the characters and learn about their backstories and see them interact with each other as outside of their interactions with the main character, whose viewpoint we basically follow all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was sort of like that was my concern, and even amidst that, I must say I really like how this show is presenting itself, because despite the fact that it is a visual novel style game, there is still very much a gamey structure to Gnosia, and that is sometimes they manage to do that really well. Like they in episode 4, for example,
it that way. Yeah.
But the thing is, like they use that to their advantage sometimes, as in you have these various loops, right? And obviously, when you're in the game, sometimes you will have a loop where everything just goes wrong. And so like, in episode 4, they include a loop where the main character is like the first one to get killed during the night, as like a sort of goof, and then it goes to the next loop and the plot sort of continues, which is pretty creative.
So like, oh man, all right, come on, like, now you start over again.
Yeah. But otherwise, I think it does a relatively good job at adapting, but there are still some ways in which you can tell, oh, this was a video game.
Oh yeah.
And it is hard for the show to sort of escape that. So even though my fears of like, this is where I got the feeling of like, this is clearly a game about talking to NPCs, they have turned more into like fully fledged characters, and without meaning to go into that, the main character does have a reason to get to know these characters a little bit better now. But the gamey structure, I'm interested in seeing if they can continue to get away with it. Right. Because, like, in episode 4, for example, we get our first, like, major plot reveal, right? So for the first couple of episodes, our main character has just sort of been stumbling through the time loops, trying to find who the Gnosia is among them, right? And you know, in episode 3 we learn that it's always someone else. In 2 we learn that it's always someone else, and then in 3 our main character finally manages to identify the Gnosia and have them put in cold sleep.
But it does not end the loops, right?
Right, but it doesn't end the loop. So in episode 4 we find out that Zeztz, who is sort of like the character who in every loop has been an ally to our main character, is also looping, because there's always a character like that in these kinds of shows. And they sort of explain how to escape the loop. And it is literally, oh, you are looping because you have been possessed by an entity from a different universe that wants to learn as much as it can about this universe. So it cannot allow you, its host, to die. So when you die, you get sent back in time so you can continue gathering information about the world. And you need to like satisfy its will for information by finding out everything you can about the people on this spaceship and about what is going on. And like they pull out the thing, and it's literally like a meter that is filling up to 100%. And it's like, in a video game, I would be like, okay, this is a cool way to like justify you need to 100% the compendium to win the game. in a narrative way, but in an anime, I just think of, you need to exhaust all the dialogue options. You need to see all the cutscenes. You need to complete all the routes to get the golden ending, and it just feels so weird. And I get the feeling like they could have gotten away with this if they hadn't done the thing where they pull out the creature and show it like filling up every time a random character says like, "Oh, I used to be a shrine maiden back on my home planet. Boop, 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 plus 1%." It's like so
funny. I will say though that on some level I appreciate its naked honesty, if that makes sense. Like this thing does makes very few efforts to conceal its game origins, and yes, that frequently feels very incongruous, as Aqua has just pointed out. But on some level, also, it is a very good distillation of what is good about the project, which is this is going to be a show where you are mostly going to sit around watching people talk to each other. And on that, and if you like that, then if it's good, then if the talking is good, then the show will be good. And if the talking is bad, the show will be bad. And mostly the talking has been good to this point, and the fact that it is so obviously based on a video game sort of contributes to kind of the puzzle box aspect of, because, look, I'm not immune to it. None of us are immune to it. Sometimes it's fun to treat a show as a puzzle that needs to be solved, right?
Oh, absolutely.
There is a bad side to that. If you look at something like Lost, for example, where the mystery, or even like the X-Files, where the mystery just sort of overwhelms the whole thing. But there's something about the sort of willingness of Gnosia to just expose the sort of pistons and levers of the story, which, I don't know, I find oddly charming. I can't defend it on any actual artistic grounds, but I appreciate the sort of the fidelity of the adaptation and the rawness of the storytelling concentrated into another medium. Right?
Game mechanics parentheses good as opposed to isekai game mechanics parentheses bad.
I think my point of view is like that I then watch this and I keep thinking, okay, but then why don't I just play the game? And the reason why is, because I'm lazy. I don't want to play an entire video game.
Well, it's probably
watch
one of those
20
games,
minutes of episode every week,
right?
And that just makes me feel bad. Like,
yeah, it's probably one of those games that's going to be like 100 hours or something, right? So, like,
my understanding is occasionally, because of its loop nature, it's like sometimes you're running through loops waiting for like the right confluence.
It's like the blueprints thing.
Yeah.
I will say as well, I think this show succeeds in one of the most important ways that like a murder mystery locked room kind of secret Hitler show can, which is it has a wide cast of people who all suck in very interesting different ways. Everybody in this show is kind of shitty, but in interesting and varied ways of conveying that shittiness to the person.
Really good gag when they just cut to like it's like day one again, and like there's 2 seconds of argument and we just cut straight to Rakio getting put in the freezer.
Yes.
Right. And he's like, oh well, it shows the foolishness of the common people. I know what a deposed leader feels like, and they're just like, get in the fucking freezer.
Yes. I just show like SQ hammering on the control panel.
Yeah.
And it's all cut together very rapidly. It is very fun. Yeah. I don't know. I think that the risk that like the mechanical part of the story could get so intrusive that it becomes a major distraction is a real problem and could be an issue, but they're getting away with it so far.
It is especially egregious in episode 3 with the engineer.
Yes, as the like game roles and abilities like show up, and it's like this is so transparently a mechanic.
Yeah, so what happens is like during one of the loops, the main character wakes up and receives a message that they have been given the role of the engineer. And so the classes, the ship's AI explains like, oh, the engineer has the ability to once per day ask about one person whether they are the Gnosia or not, and like there is no
very
real
common
explanation
role in these types of games.
Yeah, which is like in every werewolf/mafia game there is a role like that, and they just do not explain how that would make any sense within the context of the show.
Like Levy, you can tell there's an engineer. Can you tell who's the engineer? No. You can tell that there's 2 Gnosia on board out of the 6 of us or whatever. Can you tell which 2 are the Gnosia? No.
Unless you ask me and you're the engineer, then I can.
It's so goofy.
And one thing I will say actually is that perhaps my sort of willingness to tolerate such the ridiculously arbitrary restrictions that they are placed under is that I feel like at some point it will be revealed that the entire thing is a sham. Right? That is so. I feel like that these violations are so obvious and so blatant that at some point the very basic premise of the quote unquote game will break down, and I don't know anything.
You're actually in a replica of a spaceship in the Nevada.
Yes, exactly.
Replicating a experiment that happened 10 years ago as research into morphogenetic fields.
Like I do not know anything about the game, so that is not based on anything other than like an intuition about how these kind of stories work. But it feels like the obvious route to go. And in
that's
that
just
sense,
an intuition by being chronically uchikochi built.
Yes, but also in that sense the artifice of the situation is actually deliberate, right? And it's not possible at this point in time to say whether that's true or not, or whether that's just me extrapolating to an incorrect conclusion. But I feel like there is definitely something about the nature of the Gnosia and their existence which is so weirdly convenient and bound to these rules that at some point I feel like they are going to reveal that there is some sort of greater game happening here beyond the bounds of the established rules.
Yeah. I think I think they're doing some, considering all the game artifice. I think they're doing a decent job, like recreating like some of the texture of playing a game that is difficult to adapt, right? It's like what the latest episode has. Most of the episode is lengthy exposition, like including like the meter and all that, and like we finally know what we're doing and how to do it, and then it's a new loop and there's a whole bunch of people you've never met, and here's more information you gotta keep track of, loser. It's like, oh boy, all right, back in it, all right.
Well, hopefully it does not collapse in on itself and continues to be entertaining, but it remains to be seen, I guess. Okay. Well, let's move on to finally something I'm watching.
Those games where
at the end of the episode,
where creatures are killing each other. Like,
oh yeah. Unfortunately, G is not here when I need him most, because I'm going to say some things that are not going to make sense to anybody else on this podcast.
I'll open up Wikipedia here.
Yes, but Umamusume Cinderella Grey season 2. The absolute cinema that it is.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Moving on then.
We've got. We only had 1 episode this week, so it's actually.
Oh right, I heard that it's going to be a 10-episode show, so they take.
Yeah, and it's going to be apparently pretty short. But then we're already 5 episodes in now, so
it's not like it was preempted for actual horse racing.
Well, I was curious because like. This episode actually opens up mentioning, for almost no reason, Oguri Cap is thinking about the Tenno Show Autumn, which is a big race. And I was like, I'm sure they probably were shouting it out because that episode aired today, and today is also the Tenno Show Autumn in Japan.
Did Oguri Cap win?
No, they did. It had nothing to do with anything. She just mentioned it before the OP, and then we went to the actual race, which is the Japan Cup. And if you recall... This was the one where all the international horses showed up.
Yeah.
So we had The main one is this Italian lady with a tricorn hat. That she's the one to beat. But we had 3
What's her name?
Americans.
You got a list. You have to say their names every time.
Oh God, I don't remember. Well, her name is Tony Bianca.
Okay.
And then we had.
Oh yes, she's Italian. I get it.
Yeah. She has like ridiculous she looks like a Bloodborne character. Okay, that's basically she's got like the fancy like Renaissance clothes and a tricorn hat. And then so then you got the Americans featuring Michelle My Baby, the like 7 foot tall basketball player one. Who are the other ones? Obey My Master, who's like she's like a creepy, obsessive Gyaru adjacent character who like seems to know everything about everyone. And God, who was the third American? Anyway, we don't have to go through all of them.
A third American?
Yeah, there's yeah, and then you got the New Zealander one we talked about last time, and the British one who was like yeah, she's not going to win. The British one's not going to win. I'm just telling you that much. But yeah, so they're going.
Would a character still count as Gyaru adjacent when they're American? Because isn't the whole thing of a Gyaru that you're like imitating an American girl?
The visual style in anime language that they're going for, I believe, is supposed to be that. I think I mentioned last time she has like one leg is like one of those like old school like big poofy leg warmers.
Yeah.
And then the other leg is like just a stocking with American flag on it.
I mean, in anime, both Gyaru and American are just aesthetics that you can put on characters.
Yeah. If you were to see her and I didn't tell you she was American, and I guess if she didn't have literally the American flag plastered on her, you would just think she's a anime Gyaru girl. Anyway. Point is, our 2 Japanese rivals, Oguri Cap and Tamamu Cross, have their rivalry sort of interrupted because all these foreigners are coming in, and I was glad because I thought they were going to go with the angle of the 2 rivals had to temporarily put aside their differences to defend the honor of glorious Nippon, but that does not happen. They're still like, I'm winning this race. I will beat them and because in Cinderella Gray, all of the horse girls are like, once they get to racing, are like insane, obsessive, downright borderline evil when it comes to actual racing, cutthroat, and it's very funny because we finally get to the race, and it's also funny to me how like if you watch an actual horse race, it's like 2 minutes long or something like that.
Yeah,
but they they give it the shonen time dilation to where
she did make me watch one of the movies at some point.
Yeah, where we didn't even finish this race in the 22-minute episode, even though the entire episode was them racing. And,
Namek will explode in 5 minutes.
Yes, it's very much that situation.
Or in the Japan Cup Namek.
Yes. So, but it's very it's very fun to watch. Because basically it ends up being like the girls trying to fight for position and out strategize each other, and Oguri Cap switched her strategy from late surger to pace chaser in this race, which G would know what I'm talking about.
But her experience as a late charger means that as she keeps pace, I mean, she can still do a big run at the end.
Well, that's the idea. But the big the big thing in this episode, which my favorite part is. The 7 foot tall, and I mean like literally 7 feet tall. Michelle, My Baby, starts like muscling in on Oguri Cap and like literally shoving her around, and her Oguri Cap's trainer, who is like this really old man with a funny mustache and like the anime goggle glasses, which is very good. Is like watching out in the stands. He's and Oguri Cap's friend / trainer is also there, and she's like, "Wait, can they do that? Can they push people around like that?" And I'm paraphrasing what the old man says, but he's like, "You see, we Japanese racers are too polite because
the American
national races, this is just a Tuesday, and an international race, they're much more aggressive, and so that's the challenge as Oguri Cap is getting, and the other it's not just the one girl, like all the international racers are just like literally shoving them as they're racing, and it's all very good.
So it's harder to keep pace because that makes you vulnerable to the pushing, whereas the late pushers
this is also
away from the pack.
This is also the longest race that Oguri Cap has ever been in, so she's trying to conserve her stamina, but she's burning stamina trying to fight her way past this 7-foot woman pushing her into the ground.
Look, you have to pick crescent moon instead of full moon.
So anyway, it's very fun. Like the racing part is like the hardest part to kind of explain why it's fun, because a lot of that is the visual entertainment of it.
Yeah.
It's very fun to see Tamamo Cross literally start emitting lightning as she makes her move. She activates her
blood.
I wish my only complaint with the anime is I wish they would actually say their skill names, because they even do like they even do the they even do the freeze frame where they splash letters on the page, but it'll be like some random words or whatever. But in the game, they have like actual ridiculous super move names, right? So like it would be like when Tamamo Cross activates her ability and lightning starts crackling off of her, and the kanji pops up on the screen. I want it to say 1.5 million CC, which is the name of her super move. Like so details. But anyway,
this is what they sound like when we talk about Gundam, right?
Yeah. So they don't even get to finish the race. The whole thing is just like building up tension to Tamamo Cross making her move, and they end the episode. But it's very good. A lot of just like I think what I love about Cinderella Grey compared to the original series is the 110% commitment to the intensity of it, especially once they start racing. Like it is like more intense than the most intense sports anime that you've ever watched, as far as like these girls are out there fighting for their lives, and it is ridiculous, silly horse girls running on a track, but that's what makes it fun. So
I can respect that.
Yeah, they're very committed to the bit, and so only one episode this week. Not really that much more to say about it, but Cinderella Grey still very good. Okay. So I have, at least temporarily for now, moved Sanda to our prestigious final spot on our podcast.
Oh boy.
Paru Itagaki continues to be the most brave human on Earth.
Also probably the most insane.
Well, again, perhaps only second to her father, right? But
that's fair.
In these episodes, we had episodes 4 and 5. The first one was we do get the actual fight with Yagi Yuta, because we had left off with Sanda getting shot, but of course we knew he was going to turn into Santa and fight Yagi Yuta. In the fight, for some reason, Santa decides to take off his boxer briefs and just fight completely naked. Paru Itagaki wants us to be 100% clear that Santa has a huge dick.
Yes.
We spend quite a bit of time just confirming that is the case.
I mean, like an egregious failure of show don't tell here. Come on.
Yes, we never actually see anything, but in the dialogue, it's made very clear that Santa has a. I've actually been watching the dub. I don't remember what the subtitles said, but in the dub, he described it as an adult wiener.
Yes.
No, that's what the subtitles say as well.
So
that episode's a really, I think, like good encapsulation of like what Sanda is trying it to be about. I think like this, you have this completely ridiculous setup, but it's also to be about like how Sanda, the teen, is like in this ridiculous society, is like afraid of his own like bloodied sexuality, right? Which is a theme that continues into the next episode.
Yes,
and
very much so.
we can get more into that in a bit, I think.
Sure.
But like I did say, my biggest criticism last episode was in at least in episodes 1 through 3 about like Sanda was like not about anything, right?
Right. Okay.
These episodes is where they introduced. I mean, there were the hints. I knew, and I did say back then, I knew we were heading toward the like Japan's declining birth rate stuff and all that. I could see that coming, but like and this is where I think it's going to drive me crazy, where they are introducing some like themes that they can play with here, and they sure play with them. But I don't know if we're going to be actually going anywhere with it, kind of like Beastars, but
right.
But yes, in episode 4, there is the like.
Can you even call them themes when they are just like shoving it in your face repeatedly?
Okay, they are ideas.
They are ideas. Yes.
They are ideas with some sort of meaning beyond, what cool quote cool Santa powers can we come up with?
Yeah.
I mean, there are ideas in that, like your drunk friend taking a huge, like hitting a blunt and being like, wouldn't it be fucked up if like perfume was illegal? And then you go, yeah, man, that would be fucked up. And that's basically this entire show.
What if it had like elaborate world building?
Yeah.
This is definitely like, I feel like every breath in the narrative is Power Itagaki taking a hit.
Yeah.
And then like continuing this stream of consciousness narrative.
And everything she says afterwards starts with isn't Santa hot? And then you follow up with another idea.
Takes a huge hit, like, in a society that values youth, children would not be allowed to sleep because as you sleep, your body repairs itself and this causes you to grow and mature. And you go, what? And then she goes, also Santa Claus is hot. And you go, what? I meant Santa Claus is hot. No, the thing you said before that.
What if there was a show where you were too Santa to be horny?
Yeah. So that takes us into episode 5 where we dig into weird things like, hey, take that, anti-vaxxers. If you get vaccinated, you don't have to sleep.
So the thing I love about the sleeping thing is that, like, you're shown this insane thing where, like, due to diet and, like, vaccination and healthy living, we no longer have to sleep. And because firstly they established that instead of
is released when you sleep.
Firstly, they established that, like, instead of sleeping, they just lie there with their eyes open. Which is,
what is it like? Just you're made to lie in your bed and ponder your life or something.
But then you're like, you get the idea. Like, society has indoctrinated these children to think if they sleep, they will grow up, and so, like, they are encouraged not to sleep, so then not grow up. It's kind of like a part of this.
Did you think it was a metaphor when they said it?
Yes. Because this is what I'm building up to, because you're like, it's this, like, it's another demonstration of...
I was like, this part of it, I'm going to take this at face value.
Yeah, like, and I was like, it's another deconstruction of, like, how adults in this society have, like, manipulated children and, like, used the knowledge to kind of force their behavior into specific thinking. I get it, it's part of the sexuality metaphor. But then Ono falls asleep and, like, wakes up with, like, a huge rack and hips and everything like that, and I'm like, what?
Right. So all of her secondary sexual characteristics, like, occur simultaneously, right?
Yes, in one night of sleep. Yeah,
and I'm like,
goes from like 12-year-old to like 18-year-old.
But yeah,
like, okay, so it's not a metaphor; it's just true. And then, like,
but yeah, episode 5, because we get Ono coming back and talking with talking quote marks with Fumura and we are introduced to Sanda's fiance, because this is a classic, that classic scenario. We got to fight the declining birth rate by having state mandated arranged marriages, and we'll see what I end up with on the episode title. I might go with Fuyumura as my favorite gender title, but. We go there a bit, and all of it kind of being this. idea or a concept that we're exploring with kids growing up and being forced to be afraid of their gender and sexuality and all that, which could be interesting, but again, I'm skeptical that we will actually have any meaningful dialogue with any of this.
So a couple of things here. Firstly, like Sanda's fiance is voiced by the same Seiyu who is also voicing the main character of this year's Precure, which is hilarious. And secondly, the main characteristic of Sanda's fiance seems to be, what if there was a girl who was easy, but also weird and fucked up?
What if I caused problems on purpose?
Yes, but what if I caused problems on purpose using my sexuality, which is like a real weird and thorny territory to get into, honestly. There's a lot of weird and potentially problematic stuff that comes out here.
Well, even Sanda himself has the like.
So then, are you not yourself acting like the principal and trying to keep children as children as long as possible without tackling such subjects or whatever? Takes it a blunt.
Guy in philosophy class needs to
right.
Like there is weird, like even Sanda himself like is literally torn between being, he literally can turn into an adult, and how does he manage his feelings, because it's not right. No, Santa, it is not right for you to fall in love with children,
right?
But Sanda, the 14-year-old, is age appropriate for the girls he's around, so like
except
with that.
He's as we were saying, he seems convinced that he has lost the ability to be horny because he's also Santa. So,
right.
This is just what it's like when you're in love with a girl who is obviously gay.
I will say, good boy brought up his fiance causing problems on purpose. The animation in the sequence where she like drags him out into the typhoon is incredibly good. Yeah. For whatever reason, that sequence, I was like, wow, this looks really good.
This is where I go back to that I wish Science Stars did B-Stars conversation. Because this show this show does kind of look sneaky good, the animation.
Now we've gotten a taste of what we could have had, right?
I mean, I feel like it's a classic Trigger thing where, like, it is not actually tremendously technically accomplished, but there is so much style involved.
Except when it is,
right?
They'll punch it up. But a lot of it is the stylistic kind of art, the kind of sketchy art direction kind of lends itself to, you don't need the smoothest animation for it, but then when they do step it up, it looks amazing.
This show is kind of like Beastars makes you think, doesn't it? It kind of show, except like the things you think about are actually like kind of interesting to think about, but
it's probably like
right.
I think Aqua's blunt rotation metaphor is very good, because those are like, you can bring up some interesting, deep ideas, but then you don't come to any conclusions from it, right? It's just like it's just like
a weird thought.
We're throwing them out there,
right?
Like, we're throwing them out there, and think about it for a second. But
it's like a pendulum, and like one end of the swing is like commentary about childhood sexuality, Japan's birthright, its fetishization of youth. Well, there you go, exact same, all that stuff. And the other end of the spectrum is like, but what if something incredibly stupid happened right now?
What if Santa could make razor blade sharp skis come out of his feet?
Right.
Why not?
I appreciate this sort of like, I guess, maximalist world building, if that makes sense. The idea of like, let's take a normal concept and crank it beyond any bounds of sanity, and then pretend like that's totally fine and normal.
And like, I will say that this is the first show in a while I have felt has the truly insane, we are going 120% all the time all the way energy. You know, there is no, we are never hitting the brake pedal. We are always accelerating towards disaster. It's got Code Geass Season 2 energy, is what I'm saying.
Harsh.
Ooh, yeah.
It is just that one pop team epic bit. Welcome to Sanda, the manga for Mensa people.
Yeah, but yeah,
I will say that
stuff is interesting, right?
Yeah, I will say that like there is surprisingly like frank and sort of unvarnished depictions of like weird gross teen sexuality in this episode, which I actually think works surprisingly well.
I think you like have to do it that way,
right?
Without like, unless you want to become a, I don't know, like high school harem show or something, right? That's just like weirdly exploitative. It's like by making it this strange and unpleasant thing, like
and I think, you know, it's not necessarily in the fact that, you know, they don't show anything particularly explicit here,
right?
Although
they get real close.
Yeah, like there's kind of an implication that like Fuyamura is fingering Ono at one point.
I don't even know if I'd say implication. I think that's just straight. Yes, look, have sex once, like immediately turn adult, right?
Yes. The unintentional subtext here is never have sex because otherwise bad things will happen.
Well, yeah, it's the stairway to adulthood. Like,
yeah, it's Friday the 13th in anime form, you know. But like the weird like that scene, you know, like the weird admission from Ono that like she likes Fuyamura because she's this weird genderless creature, you know, the exploitative shots of the fiancé girl who's like wearing like short shorts, and it's the first time in a while where like an anime has done skeevy shots of a character, and I think, oh, you're doing this deliberately rather than just kind of like having your cake and eat it. You know, there is a weird dark horny energy suffusing this episode which sort of makes the whole thing work.
I mean, dark horny energy is part of Itagaki in a nutshell. So,
and we haven't even mentioned that like a member of the St. Nick assassination squad has showed up and become Sanda's gym teacher as well. Like that's barely.
Oh yeah, that's the least strange thing to happen. At least in that episode.
I think we forgot to mention the fiancé girl wearing the shirt that says "Plenty."
Yes, plenty here.
Yeah.
You know what though? I'm having fun.
Yeah.
These two episodes were probably my favorite episodes. Yeah. I felt like there was just a lot of weird stuff going on. It's fascinating and entertaining.
It is a wild ride. They are swinging for the fences constantly, and like I don't know if that's going to pay off, but it's incredibly entertaining while it's happening. Like,
yeah, it's interesting.
I'm having a great time.
Yes. To elaborate on my like Code Geass comparison, that's a little unfair, you know, but like it has the energy of we are making this up as we go along,
right.
and at any point the train could like derail and go down in a catastrophic fireball, and that's kind of fun, you know. Like,
you know what? Yeah, I will say about Code Geass Season 2 is I always wanted to go to the next episode because I was just like, what? Huh?
It is not boring. It is many other things, but it is not boring.
Right.
And I think Sanda's better than that, but you know what I mean when I say it has that same sort of energy.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
I find a lot of anime are about horny teens, right? But most anime are not about horny teens in such a like
this is
frank and kind of disgusting and like weird way that
this isn't about
feels
horny
like
teens.
feels like it's actually like examining the concept, right?
This isn't about horny teens. Take a hit from the blunt. It's about teens being horny.
I mean, like in all honesty, this is way more honest. This is like way more honest than any number of like fucking awful.
Right, you say honest, but I don't even feel like this is trying to be that titillating with the teens. Right?
No, I'm not saying honest in the sense of titillating. I'm saying honest in the sense of like, this episode is about teen sexuality, and we are not going to dance around that and nod and wink about it. Like, these kids want to fuck each other at some point, and that's a problem.
Or do they? Because society has trained that out of them, right?
or they are Santa Claus and
and as we know, Santa who brings dreams to children and must fundamentally be a kindly figure cannot ever.
Doesn't someone at some point say doesn't Santa at some point just say Santa can't be sexually attracted to children?
Yeah. And what's the new gym teacher's name?
I can't remember, but
old man teacher.
But it's like the start of the episode. He's like playing cards and smoking and drinking with the other Saint Nick Pursuit guys, and he's just like, "Do you think if Santa falls in love with a kid, his heart will stop? Do you think he'll die if that happens?"
Speaking of conversations that were happening while people were taking hits,
that was not a tobacco cigarette. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So, good times. Very entertaining show. And I really like these last two episodes, as weird and disturbing as they were. But maybe that's why I like them.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Totally unique.
Yes. You know what? No one will do it like her.
Toru Itagaki is braver than the troops and also clinically insane.
Braver than any U.S. Marine. All right. So that's the end of our list. That'll do it for this episode. Like I said, I don't know what we're going to talk about next time, but we'll figure that out. And let's do our housekeeping. You can check us out at theglorioblog.com. Follow us on Blue Sky at Glorio. At Glorio Blog? I don't remember now.
At Glorio Blog.
Okay, it's at Glorio Blog. Yes. I'm getting old, folks. Okay, and you can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Podbean, Stitcher, and YouTube, where you can like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, all those good things. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, and we'll catch everybody next time.